Big Fan said he can't connect through on X. If you can't hear us on X, hearing an echo. If you can't hear us on X, then try YouTube. I'll drop a link to the YouTube stream in the threadcast for you.
Yes, and for those who don't know what a threadcast is, that's basically our on-chain Twitch chat room, sort of. I mean, you could define it like that, but it's basically where anyone can just engage with whatever is happening in the conversation, and they can earn tokens for that engagement. And it's pretty easy. It comes out from the Leo token itself and the Hive token, which is the blockchain that we, as Inleo, live on top of. Carl, I honestly thought that you would not be able to make it today. But yeah, glad that you were able to make it.
Yeah, I didn't know for sure if I was gonna make it. But we're here. Only about 20 minutes late. And there won't, for the recording of this, we'll have the Zoom, but there won't be any threadcast recording overlaid because I'm not able to do that from this computer. So we'll have to just make do with what we got.
Well, as I refresh my Inleo browser,
I'm gonna put out the announcements. Eric, you want to give us a quick run through of the current monthly active user counts and maybe some of the relevant data around that?
Yes, so the website is opening right now, but basically we closed June with over 1,350 users, so that's pretty cool considering that we've been on a down-only trend over the past few months in the whole crypto space. So we have actually held pretty good. Just checking the numbers right here. Yep, this has been our so March was 1,500, and then we hovered around 1,350, and then June was a little bit under that, and then we're expecting July to end a little bit better. As Carl has told you in the past, we aim to grow at least 20% month over month, and we just started with the new strategies this month. But threaders, on the other hand, are recovering from the previous kind of downtrend that we had. June closed with 866 users, Lions, and then content creators, we are almost at 1,000 per month. We closed with 988 content creators. And the interesting part of all of this is that in terms of comments, posts, and threads made in total, we are on a huge uptrend. Trying to find this. So May, well, from March, April, and May, we closed on an average of around 60,000 threads per month. And June, we had more than 90,000. So there's a lot more activity in general. And in terms of posts, this has been our best month ever. And we are continuing on an uptrend for the year. So we started with around 5,500, and we've been just going up and up and up. And right now we're almost at 7,000. And in terms of comments, this is probably the one that is less impressive, but still pretty good. We closed the month with more than 5,000 comments made on Inleo. And if you compare this to last year, exactly last year, we were at around 3,000 comments. Why? Because the UI still had a few things to improve, but it's gotten so much better that people are starting to realize how good it is and how flawless it is. So that's the kind of activity that we actually want, or in my opinion, that's the one that we want, because that reflects that the users not only use the UI to post, but also to browse and to consume content. So yeah, it was a good month. It wasn't the best, of course, because we didn't grow the 20% month over month that we were aiming for, but considering the market situation, we are doing good compared to other projects.
Nice. Yeah. Obviously with the downtrend in the overall crypto market, you tend to see less overall activity in the space. And, we've definitely been no stranger to that on the Hive blockchain. With the crypto market cycles, you kind of see it ebb and flow in terms of users. I think the encouraging data for us is that we're starting to see a lot more long form, like Eric mentioned. There's been a lot more people making blog posts and getting active in the comment sections on blog posts. So that's definitely a good thing overall. We're also obviously doing the community battles and wars, which includes both long form and short form activities, and aiming to grow those, as well as onboarding. So it's definitely been encouraging to see growth on that front. And now we're just focused on general monthly active user growth, across the board. So that is, a monthly active user is defined by someone who makes at least one post, one comment, one thread, in a monthly period. So, I think there's a lot of things we can do to grow from where we're at. I'd like to say that it's all upside from here just because of how small we are, but we're at around 1,350 monthly active users. But it's really incredible to see what little tweaks and changes can do in terms of performance, especially with the long form. Like, we made a lot of improvements to the long form UI, to reading articles, to writing articles. You guys may have seen the new features that went live in the past week for templates and drafts, scheduled posts. There's all new pages in the in those sections. So we'll keep improving the long form experience as well, as the short form experience. Both of them are equally important. And I would say that a big focus for us moving forward really needs to be capturing users from the outside. So I've been spending a lot of time on this referral system that we've been working on, which I think will really change the dynamics of inviting people into the platform. So that will, what the aim of that is to turn the entire existing monthly active user base, so that's about 1,350 people, turn the entire community of Lions into daily marketers and onboarders, by entrenching incentives in every aspect of basically bringing someone on board. So, I think the key to a good onboarding and referral system is going to be making the incentives extremely clear, and then also having not only like immediate, like a payoff that is immediate and immediately rewarding, but also have something that's recurring. So I think that's the key to a good referral system, is that and there's going to be many different layers to this, and we can always add more layers as well as time goes on. But what I'm excited about is that there's two main layers, the immediate rewards and then the ongoing rewards, the ongoing ones kind of break into two categories, at the start, which is going to be the new leaderboard is a points-based system. And I talked about that a little bit, last week. But the new leaderboard is a points-based system. And when you refer new users, you will essentially get a fraction of their points added to your score every month. So like if you become a power onboarder, you'll essentially have, a fraction or a percentage of, the 100 users that you've onboarded and all the points that they generate each month through commenting, posting, threading, etc. So your leaderboard score could be immensely higher because of all the people you've onboarded. And then also, the other aspect is with premium. And I mentioned that, I have this Whoop watch, and when you invite someone to Whoop, every time they buy a year subscription, you basically get one free month added to your subscription. So, I think that's a really cool kind of referral system that they've built. And we're going to add it to the Inleo premium subscription model. So if you basically, let's say like, and let's just give an example. Let's say you onboard 10 new users and, 5 of them stick around and stay active every single month. Those 5 users every month get added, like a percentage of the points that they generate on the leaderboard get added to your score. And then in addition, let's say that out of those 5 users, one of them becomes premium, or let's say 2 of them become premium, and they subscribe to premium for either a yearly subscription or they do monthly, but they subscribe for a year consecutively at some point down the line. That's basically every year that they subscribe, you get 1 free month. So let's say 2 of them are 1 year worth of premium, so you get 2 free months of premium added to your premium, along with every month getting points from what they generate on the leaderboard. And we're going to have a lot of different reward systems for the leaderboard as well, just in general. But, having a high score on the leaderboard is going to be important for a lot of different things on the UI. So I'm excited for that. And like I said, to me, a good referral system is one that has a lot of recurring points and benefits to being, successful at onboarding. Because you don't want people that just onboard like, 100 people and they all those 100 people like use the UI for 2 days and then they leave. You want someone who onboards people that are recurring, that stick around. So I think building the incentives model, with that goal in mind is a valuable thing to do.
Yep, long-term users, definitely. Kat, you are back from where did you go?
Never, never land. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I think you're muted in the spaces, Mitch.
How about now?
You're still muted. Let me see if I can
Awesome.
ask you to unmute. All right, let's try this. Remove.
Now?
Right to speak.
Working?
Right to speak.
How about now?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yes.
Hold on, let me see one other thing. Do you still hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. I don't know what that was about. Apparently just needed to reset all the things.
Sometimes you just got to turn the TV off, turn it back on.
Right.
Bang it a few times, do a circle, jumping jacks.
Yes. Control Alt Delete for the good old days. Yes, I was doing the real estate things last week. So I was up north, rolling paint, swinging hammers, doing all the manual labor.
Hopefully no cars coming through the siding.
Yeah, no cars crashing into houses this time, luckily. That property actually we officially got listed. It was showed this weekend. We got offers coming in, so free up some money to buy more crypto, right? That's always the goal.
It's always a good thing.
Get it while it's down. Obviously, Bitcoin was giving us a little scare, poking at 59 the other day, but it has since bounced back up and it's continued to stay in the range. But yeah, renewed my premium. It expired. Excuse me, while I was gone. But made the mistake of putting all my liquid HBD into savings. So I only renewed for a month because I do not have 100 HBD liquid to do the 1 year. So I'm like, you know what? I know I have an HBD payment coming this week. I was like, so I'll just note to self at the end of 30 days, I can lock it in for a year.
Yeah. I locked mine in for a year. Definitely fun to do.
Yeah, so some people posted. I think one alpha did. I think Taskus either did or he's about to. So yeah, I'll just do it 29 or 8 days from now. But that's cool to hear that the blog postings get more active because I'm old school cat. I'm still doing that, much to probably Task's chagrin, I still write more long form posts than I do threads. I'm still doing, you know, multiple long form posts per week, and I probably only thread a couple times a week. I did thread today though, so wins. I generally thread when I have something I actually, short and quick to share. In fact, a lot of times I'll do a thread that's like, a bullet point, and then I'll end up writing a long form post about whatever that is, like a separate post. So, but um, I'm actually surprised and somewhat delighted to hear that blog volume is up, um, since it's not, really the focus. But at the same time, yeah, the thread activity still needs to grow.
I think it comes in waves. When we started a year ago, content creators were probably around 15-20% of the total threads creators. And right now it's probably around the same. I think it's 870 threaders versus almost 1,000 content creators. But it fluctuates, and the waves are actually, in my opinion, they look pretty good because we no longer depend on one form of content creation. We have the two main ones who are pretty strong. So in general, I do like how it looks right now. But yeah, I mean, it would be even awesome if we saw 1,500 on each of those sides. But it's good to see them both hovering around 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of growth to do. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is the curation on threads. And I saw that someone posted a screenshot of or a rethread of something that Subtle Sage posted. And for context, Subtle Sage is kind of a mix. I mean, I know it's obviously an alt account. I haven't done the digging to try to find out whose alt account it is because I don't think it really matters. But is like a almost half a hater and half like actually productive. So there's hate to there's some hate to what he says, or at least some harshness to it. But that being said, there is a kernel of truth to some of the things he talks about. So the rethread that I'm talking about was in the threadcast, and I just lost that comment. But basically what it showed was, the majority of votes that he's receiving on his threads are from only a handful of accounts. I think, it was like 15 to 20 different accounts that he receives the majority of votes from. And obviously like the top 7 are me and the trail that follows me in terms of voting. So I think, and I was thinking about this the last couple of weeks. I was talking to CFL closers, and he wants to do more curation on threads. So I gave him a little Leo Power delegation. But I've been thinking a lot about how do we encourage people to curate more broadly and more essentially just curate more on threads, because I think there's a big lack of curation there. And I think a lot of it has to do with us being trained to curate in a certain way when it comes to Hive. I think a lot of people have gotten, I think a lot of people have just gotten familiar and comfortable and, habitual about upvoting long form posts or just using a trail or an auto voter of some kind. But threads, obviously, auto voting isn't really much of a thing. I mean, you still have trails. But that being said, I mean, auto voting isn't a thing on threads. So when you look at like the average blog post on Hive, or at least like, let's say from the trending page, you'll likely have anywhere from like 150 to 1,000 unique accounts voting on any given blog post. But if you actually looked at most of those votes, I mean, like 90% of them are within the first 5 minutes of the blog post going live. So we know that it's pretty much mostly auto voters. I think the number of manual curation that actually happens across the entire blockchain is relatively low. And that's something that I've been wanting to change for a long time, both for long form and for threads. So I've been really trying to think of ways that we can improve that. I think a few a few different things. Making smaller votes more rewarding is something I've been thinking about, but that requires a pretty dramatic change, like to the fundamentals of how curation works on Inleo, and with the Leo token. So that's something that's been on my mind. And then also, I think the more practical and immediately applicable option would be implementing something on the leaderboard. So obviously I keep talking about the leaderboard because that's going to be one of the next major features we roll out. But having some sort of curation calculation that's not just based on, because right now, if you look at the current leaderboard, it basically just takes the total number of upvotes, and that counts as like that's how it organizes people essentially. But that doesn't factor in, like auto votes and whatnot. And I've been thinking about a new calculation for calculating the points that you earn for being a curator and how you get ranked on the leaderboard. And what I think we're going to do is some sort of calculation where it looks at not only the number of votes that you cast, so it's going to look for, if you cast a lot of votes, but it's also going to look at, how diverse are those votes in terms of unique accounts that you're voting on. And then I also want to have I want to have some element of time. So, did you just vote on 100 different accounts in the first 5 minutes that they posted, a blog post or a thread? Or did you vote 100 different accounts, but the timing of your vote is very diverse. So let's say that, some of them were done at 5 minutes, some were done at 10 minutes, some were done at 3 hours, some were done at 3 days. And by using these metrics, we're able to create like essentially a diverse curation score, both in terms of time and unique accounts. So I think that's going to be a really key element of the leaderboard, and then possibly having something that can even attach a score to curation on threads and a curation on a blog post. So I think there's a lot of creative ways that we can, calculate the curation abilities of people, and actually look for manual curation over automated. So obviously, right now I would say just a lot of curation is either automated or non-existent. And by changing that on the leaderboard, we could potentially incentivize the change, because at the end of the day, everything in life, especially, when it comes to crypto and blockchain, and the Hive blockchain and Inleo, everything is based on incentive structures. So you really need to focus on, what kind of incentive structures are in place and what are those incentive structures actually encouraging people to do. And I think up to this point, most of the incentive structures are around setting up auto voters and just laying back and letting curation happen for you. Not only because it's easier and requires less time, but actually because it earns you the most rewards. So we really need to think about how can we make manual curation more valuable than auto curation, or essentially just setting and forgetting it on a trail. So we really need to spend some time and think about how to change that incentive model. And I think it's a really difficult thing to do, but definitely doable.
Do you think, Cal, do you think that'll happen somewhat organically though? Because think about this, right? As users onboard to Inleo, right? A lot of these users aren't so much familiar with the Hive blockchain, right? And the Hive blockchain might not become their operating basis. Like we all, come from Hive blockchain first, and then obviously Inleo, so we understand that, and we understand that there's auto voter options out there and things like that. But for people, especially like Leo Infra accounts and stuff, where they don't even, you know, either use their keys or care about it, or really function on the Hive blockchain, um, naturally they're probably not going to be doing auto voting just because they don't even realize it's a thing. Um, I know that doesn't solve the problem, but I think that influence will actually, create some of an organic, change in trend of less auto voting overall.
Yeah, I do think that bringing new blood into the system is generally a good thing for a lot of reasons. And that can kind of incite the culture change that we're looking for. And there's a little bit of a you obviously, you still want to build this incentive structure for the existing user base, because that's still going to be the majority of users for a long time. But it's also a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, because, you know, when we invite new people onto the platform, we don't want to show them that like the majority of threads have 0 votes on them, and are earning very little rewards. You know, you want to have we really want to have a more diverse vote spread, even if we don't have any new blood. Because that's ultimately, you know, again, like chicken and egg, like that's ultimately what's going to lead to more people coming in, is seeing a lot of activity, seeing a lot of rewards flowing around, and seeing people be very active. So yeah, I do agree with you though, that generally the new people coming in aren't going to have these kind of preconceived notions of what to do. It's almost like, you know, if you adopt a dog that's 5 years old versus, you know, get a brand new puppy, like that dog that you adopt is going to have, you know, it's gonna have a whole life worth of experiences that you almost have to overcome in certain ways, to train it, versus a brand new puppy, which is like, you know, you can just start from 0 and essentially have a blank slate. So yeah, I do think there's an element of new blood kind of changing that culture. And having both happen at the same time would be the most ideal scenario. You know, you have new blood coming in, and they're generally going to be more incentivized to do just normal. I mean, this is almost like normal. Like it's normal to go on X and just like a bunch of tweets that you actually like. Like you read something, you're like, oh, I like that like button. But for us on Hive, I feel like upvoting and liking things has become a very like, well, what am I going to get in terms of rewards if I like this? It's not, you're not liking things because you like it. So it's become almost a little political, almost a little like, you know, what's it going to do for me? So yeah, I think you know, doing both at the same time is really the ideal situation at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean it's gonna take a little bit of smooth execution if we want to change anything that is already engraved in the Hivers mindsets. For example, like how curation works. If we change anything regarding that, it's gonna be like, okay, so Hive curation works this way, and then in Leo curation works this way, and then you can use this strategy to maximize both, whatever. So, but I do like that. I do like the fact that there's at least one interface, one platform aiming to change things or to steer things up, because the way things are going, we need change, and we need good change, inspired change, not just change for the sake of change.
Yeah. And I see Samuel said Taskmaster and 1Alpha are the biggest supporters of threads. And yeah, I mean, that's another element to this game, which is that there are a lot of lions. You know, you guys are in this threadcast and in this space right now. You know, having the existing like whales and large stakeholders being active and curating a lot on threads are also an important part of a culture shift. You know, in terms of spreading out curation and being active, because, you know, not only do they have a lot of influence over the rewards pool, but they also have a lot of influence over community members. So they're, you know, they are leaders. They are, you know, to use a, you know, kind of broader industry term, they're KOLs, they're key opinion leaders on the platform. So when they start doing something, other people kind of jump in and do that as well. So definitely important to have the whales and have the stakeholders, you know, kind of moving their weight around in the right ways. So yeah, that definitely would be a third element.
Well, I mean, and Tess was making a decent comment when he's talking about just pretty much, you know, engagement and things like that, and you know who he's, you know, what he's going to vote. And I just like using that as an example because, you know, if someone is putting up a thread surely with sole motivation of to earn some, you know, Leo tokens, you're probably going to always be disappointed, even if you do well. And it really shouldn't be the, you know, initiative. Because think about this, anyone that posts on Twitter/X, right? There's not even that option, right? So it's like, well, why do you like why would someone engage on that? You engage on it because like you just socially want to, like you're posting about something that you're passionate about, or you're interacting someone's nonsensical tweets about politics or whatever it is, right? There's no essentially monetary incentive for someone like, oh, let me throw something on X real quick and see if I can make a few pennies, right? So the fact that you have the opportunity to quote unquote get a financial reward on Inleo almost sullies the whole thing, is a lot of times people are just looking at the financial aspect, and it's just like, all right, I can social media it up and make a living maybe, or whatever, make a side income. And I think it's very hard. It's just like anything else. Like look at like you look at like TikTok, right? You got all these people posting all this crap, and it's just like, and same thing with YouTube. The number of people that actually make money on YouTube or TikTok is like a fraction. It's like 2, 3, 4% that actually make any kind of real money, right? So the money chase is just always going to be a losing proposition. So it's like, you know, interact because you want to interact, with other like-minded people, and just do it here instead of Twitter, just because decentralization, hashtag winning. So that's my 2 cents in regards to that.
Yeah, and yeah, it's it's a mix of like a culture thing, incentive thing. Like I've said, it's just it's something that's not going to change overnight. But as long as we're on our way to changing it, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna take time.
yeah, and I did mention, I think like 2 AMAs ago. But if you're active on threads and want to curate heavily like CFL closers, you can reach out to me and I can throw a delegation your way. So just reach out, let me know if you want that kind of unofficial curation position. Basically just looking for people who are really active on threads and spread their votes out widely. And yeah, one thing about what Mitch was saying is, if you come to threads and like a lot of people, I do think a lot of people post blog posts, in general on the blockchain, with the end goal of getting rewards. They kind of just check in once a day and make their blog posts and then they leave. I think there's plenty of people that do that. And I think one kind of amazing thing about what's been built with Inleo is that yes, you can earn rewards on your threads, but you also can, you can use threads, and Taskmaster talks about this a lot. You can use threads as a brand building exercise. So, it's, let's say that you're making your daily blog posts and that's a part of your account. And then you're also making threads every day, and you're building your brand recognition, because your account at the end of the day is a business, it's a brand. So you want to grow your username, you want to grow your recognition, you want to grow the following that you have, for both long form and short form. And threads are a great way to build engagement and recognition. So even if the rewards in terms of upvotes and rewards pool are not that high, the rewards in terms of account building are high. So it's almost like you have tangible rewards and you have the intangible rewards that can't be clearly defined. And I do think that threads have a lot of intangible rewards, alongside the obvious of the reward pool.
I'm trying to find that account that you mentioned. What's the username?
Which one?
The one that's half love, half hate.
Oh, Subtle Sage is the username.
They're on the Threadcast, right?
I don't know if they're in the Threadcast, actually. I know that
Oh.
someone rethreaded a thread that they had posted. But yeah, generally, whoever's, because it's clearly an alt account, just from a quick glance, but whoever's running it is just basically looking at the data of Inleo and then talking about it, either accurately or inaccurately. So that's but generally a harsher tone to it. But like I said, there's an element of constructive criticism, and there's an element of just criticism for criticism's sake. So I tend to look at the constructive side.
And it'll always exist forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
There's always going to be that. So, and that's why the saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So
Very true.
bring on the hate.
Just scrolling. A lot of comments today. Tapsester said, I vote almost every reply to a thread I get. If you are not getting votes on threads, it is because you're not engaging. Just throwing stuff up on the latest feed isn't going to cut it. Absolutely. Yeah.
That was a comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Threading is not just about, and again, this is like a culture thing. It's not just about finding something to thread about. Like at the end of the day, you either have a thought and you want to thread it, or you go through and you reply to other people's threads and you comment and you engage with them, if you're trying to like force thread content out. And I do see there's a handful of people that I see every once in a while where they'll just like post like a storm of like 25 threads, and not like linked ones together, just like on the latest feed. They'll just drop like 25 threads. They're a mix of like memes and screenshots and, other people's threads and, kind of just like copy and pasting a bunch of stuff. And you can just kind of tell that they're just like almost pushing out content, and making it about content rather than like context and engagement. So, when I make a top level thread, it's because I had a thought or I saw something that I wanted to share. And that's, I think, the point. Like if you look on X, it's the same point. Like if you have a thought or you have something you want to share, that's when you make a top level thread. Otherwise, you're just scrolling the feed looking for engaging stuff. Elon talks about something, when he took over X, he talks about how his goal was just to reduce, what was it? Reduce the amount of time you spend where you have regret. So like regrettable minutes should be minimized on the platform. So you should enjoy the time you spend. Like basically when you look through the feed, you should leave it knowing that you spent time doing something that was either productive or funny or whatever.
I want to forget just doing that on X. Can I install that in life mode?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great, right? Well, that's what life is about too. Like you should make choices that reduce regret, which is why a lot of people talk about, how would you feel about, how would your 80-year-old self talk about the life that you lived? And you want to say that you lived a life that was, exciting, adventurous. You didn't just sit around and wait for things to happen, but you made them happen, right? So the same applies to social media. Is like you don't want to have regretted minutes. You should be enjoying the time that you're on there. And I think that is like a superpower for us. Like we have, on X, you can't really make massive changes. Like X is basically like this huge, like Titanic ship. And for it to turn and make like a significant change is a very hard thing to do. But Inleo and Leo are like we're like a tiny little hand raft, right? Like we got a little motor behind us. We can turn on a dime. We can change everything about how the platform works. And one person on the platform that is engaging and fun and you enjoy the stuff that they put out. You enjoy the stuff that they reply to you with. Obviously like Taskmaster is a great example of this because he's just all over the platform. One person can have a massive impact on the overall vibe of the platform. But if you go on X, one person is not going to have much of an impact. You're going to be just, a drop in the ocean. So, that's one thing I think that is a superpower for us. Samuel said curation is a way of activating the community. It should not be political or religious, but strategy to grow the community. Yeah, I mean, it should, curation should be more natural, in my opinion. It should be that you see something you like, and so you hit the like button. That is my ultimate goal for curation, and I would really like to figure out how we can make that a thing. I mean, there's another thing I've thought about in terms of like an infrastructure change, which is to add a like button in addition to the upvote button. And if something gets enough likes, it would it would then get like a bigger vote from a specific curation account. So like a designated account, or like the official accounts or whatever are designated, so that if something gets like more than 10 likes, then it gets it gets an upvote from this curation account, so that then it earns more rewards because it's clearly liked by the community. And in order to prevent gamification of that, or not but gaming it, you can grade it on a curve essentially, so that as more content gets more likes, then it needs more likes to be to reach that bar and get curation. And I think a implementation like that could have a positive impact overall.
In general, I would go for, if you want content to trend, then you can take into account the likes. And if you want to reward users with money or with tokens, then you vote the post. But if users could have both, maybe with an interface, like for example, if they haven't claimed their wallet, they cannot vote. Or if they already claimed their wallet and understand what's happening, they can do both. But then you have the trending, it's not linked to the money, because that's exactly, in my opinion, what ruined other trending pages in other blockchains and even in other platforms. That you have the trending is the one that is most paid, or like with the most payout. So then you have non-interesting stuff that maybe some whales decided it should get more tokens, but it's not really interesting or relevant. And then the other one that I wanted to mention was that other blockchains use inflation as a way of rewarding people who are staked. We use inflation to reward users that we deem deserve tokens, right? So if you see a good proof of brain post or a good thread, then you vote it, and then you decide, hey, some tokens are gonna go this way because my stake decides where I'm sending these tokens, right? So it shouldn't be right, like you shouldn't like the decision making that you make to reward users with tokens should be, who do I want Leo tokens to go to? Who do I want to receive Leo tokens? It doesn't matter what kind of content or what quality of content or what they're doing in the platform. If you think they deserve tokens, then you should vote that person's posts. That's it. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and opinion is the key word, because at the end of the day, we all are motivated by different things, right? And it's just like, for me with threads, I vote on threads that either A, I find amusing, B, are touching on some topic I'm interested in. And usually I rarely vote on a thread without also like making a comment, because the reason I'm voting on it is because I was engaged because of whatever it was. So, for me, it's just a matter of what I enjoy, and there's no specificity to that.
Yeah, I'm just collecting some questions out of the threadcast. I have so many questions I've collected that now I'm losing my collected questions. Yeah, so Taskmaster said like button in addition to upvote. He said, I think that's a great idea. It's very effective. You can press the like button without expending voting power. Yeah, and I think again, you need to find a really good system to make this work properly. But I think what would work well in terms of adding this like button would be to essentially add it in addition to having an upvote button, and have certain settings that every user can choose in terms of basically combining these buttons, or finding ways so that it doesn't disrupt the experience. So like, for example, and this goes to like something Mitch said earlier, which is that like new users are going to come in and they're not going to care about what an upvote is or what a like is. Like they just think that liking something means that you like it. It's just this culture that we created around upvotes. So I think you could, like for new onboards, I think you could just combine these buttons and make like so what I'm imagining is that there's a setting for this, and the default setting for a newly onboarded like infra account. So like someone who's on a Hive Lite account where they signed up with X and then they logged into Inleo, through a Hive Lite account that we create for them. For them, I feel like we should just have a like button, and it's attached. It automatically, when they like something, it automatically upvotes as well. So it's a combined, and this was kind of how the settings are envisioned, is that like, a like and an upvote are combined. So that's one setting. Another setting would be that the like and upvote buttons are separated. So you can like something, but you don't have to upvote it. And you can choose that in your settings, so that when you're on the UI, it displays two separate buttons. And then, maybe a third setting where if you upvote something, it will also like it. And so you could see how that kind of breaks down into a more kind of modifiable experience, especially for the advanced user of the UI who would probably choose to have some combination of the two buttons be available to them so that they can like some stuff and upvote other stuff.
Yeah, and now you are separating the social side from the financial side, and then you could actually have the trending page be some kind of content without over rewarding the users, because that's one of the main issues that a lot of OG accounts say there is, that you, on the one hand, you want to reward good content, but then you always have the same people over and over in the trending page. So if you could separate that and you could say, okay, you deserve some tokens, but you deserve to be on the trending page because your content is amazing, then let's go. I totally agree with that.
Eric, earlier when you mentioned the trending thing, I don't know, I kind of knew, but I didn't realize. I love that. I think that's huge because that was a problem, you know, back, when we're just, on the Hive blockchain, um, before the days of Inleo. And it was that. It was like all you saw was pretty much the whale club on the trending post because they were highest dollar value, when it really should have nothing to do with that. It should have more to do with page views, or just, obviously, interaction with that post. So that's cool. Um, that, you know, trending is not based off of monetary value, because, you know, you can get one whale vote and it could be the only person that looked at that damn post. So it shouldn't be trending. It's like, it should be trending if people are actually reading the effing thing. So that's awesome. I think
Yeah,
that's so subtle, but so ginormously important.
yeah,
So I think
and
that's one of the best things that's happened.
it kind of becomes more relevant based on what Carl mentioned at the beginning of the stream, which was that most of the interactions on chain are automated, or well, at least the voting out interactions are
Yep.
automated. So why would you have a training page based on something that has no human input? So yeah, I would just definitely cut. I do agree with that.
Well, apparently the For You page is working well for others.
Yeah, we did
Where
make a
did
lot
you?
of pretty significant changes to the way that it works lately. So I've been kind of playing around with it, tweaking some things um to overall make the experience better. And it's only going to keep improving, especially as AI has more of a role to play in the content that gets served. But yeah, it's overall going to be I like, and I've talked about this in a thread, that the way I use the platform is that I scroll through the latest feed for the last like 2 hours worth of content. So I'll look at like what's recent. And then I usually switch over to the For You feed, and then scroll through that for a while. On the For You feed, and again, I mean, the whole kind of the whole theme of this AMA has been about like culture shifts and the culture that we kind of have existing on the platform. But you know, we're kind of trained to look at only the most recent content is relevant, which is not actually how social media platforms work. You know, outside of the blockchain, you know, most platforms serve you a mix of content that is anywhere from a few minutes old to, you know, 6 hours, 12 hours, or even, you know, 48 hours old. It's just serving you the content that it thinks that you are most likely to engage with. And that is what the majority of platforms out there run on, pretty much all of them at this point. And that is what our aim is in terms of the For You feed, is that it's aimed at, you know, showing you content that it thinks it thinks you're likely to engage with. And we've been kind of tweaking that algorithm and trying to improve it and make it better, you know, in the past couple of weeks. So if you haven't checked it lately, I would recommend checking it out and seeing if it's serving decent content for you. And you know, expect that will only continue to improve as we kind of further tweak the algorithm and then introduce AI into the recommendations filter. You know, I actually have a pretty significant change coming to that algorithm, probably in the next like 2 weeks, I would say. I just want to test it out a little bit more, but it will probably be like a 2 to 3x in the relevance of content that you get served on the For You feed. So expect that to be improved further. But yeah, I think overall, like, we're just trained to look at the latest feed always on Hive. But again, you know, especially with threads, that's not, you know, something that was posted 2 days ago on threads could be just as relevant to creating a, you know, unregretted minute on the platform for you as an end user, as something that was posted 2 minutes ago. You know, the chronology of when something's posted is typically not that relevant unless it's like breaking news. You know, it just technically doesn't matter. Like if you know, sometimes I'll post quotes that I see from you know, some like stoicism pages that I follow on X, and I'll post them on Inleo. And whether you see that in the 2 minutes, you know, since I posted it, or if you see it 2 days later, but you're generally interested in stoicism and stoic quotes, you know, it doesn't matter to you if you saw it 2 minutes ago or 2 days after it's been posted. So I think that just needs to be completely. I think that culture shift needs to happen also, in terms of just looking at content for content's sake. And again, you know, fundamentally, it's just creating unregretted minutes on the platform. You want to enjoy the time you spend. You know, you want to either learn something or find, you know, laughter in something. You know, maybe it's a meme. You know, generally memes don't have a timeline. Like I've seen memes that are 6 years old, and that resurface on X, and they're just as funny today as they were 6 years ago. So, yeah, it's again, it's about creating a profile of each user and then serving them the best content possible. Sakeen said, "Keep up the great work. The UI is definitely less buggy lately." Yeah, we've been focused on still really focused on just cleaning up bugs. And you know, we added a team member a few months ago whose sole focus is bug fixes. So, you know, while we've been back to working on new features, he's still been grinding away and fixing a bunch of bugs. So keep the feedback coming. Use the thread hashtag feedback. I look through it every day and look for either ideas or bugs that we need to fix. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that the UI has been feeling better for you. Gargi said, now the Inleo UI is bug free. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's bug free, but I would say that we're at like 95%. And again, my goal lately has been to get to 99% bug free, so that and this has been like my KPI with this specific dev, that at any given moment in time, we should have no more than 10 known and indexed bugs. So that means that, you know, if as soon as that list gets over 12, I start to bug him, pun intended, to start fixing bugs and get us below that line of 10. So that is 10 like reported, known, like we're in the process of working on them at any given time. And you know, because bugs kind of ebb and flow, especially with the speed at which we release new features. So, you know, I think that that's something to be proud of in terms of our team, is that we tend to just push things really fast, break a lot of stuff, and then aim to fix it as quickly as possible. Um, and that speed is really important to me. That being said, you know, when you move fast, you do break a lot of stuff, which means that the ebb and flow of bugs is like, okay, well, if we're in a little bit of a lull period where there's not a lot of new features coming out, or like a lot of features are still in development but aren't on production yet, the number of bugs, I mean, the fact that we're still working on bugs, you know, the number of bugs just declines. But as soon as we release a feature, you can see, like, if there was like a stock chart or a crypto chart for bugs, you would see that every time we release a feature, there's like a huge spike. It's like a big to talk in scaredy cat terms, there's a big wick, you know, in terms of the bugs that we know of. So you know, and then again, we fix those, and the wick comes down, and then we start to find a new you know, a new average or a new median, and then again, while we're fixing that stuff, we're then working on the next feature, then eventually a spike happens again. But generally, my overall KPI for the devs is to be 99% ish bug free, so that, you know, again, there's no more than 10 known bugs at any given time that we're fixing. So I would say we're at that point. I mean, I think right now, I think we have like 11 or 12 indexed bugs. So I actually pinged them this morning and asked how things were going. So yeah, we're you know, we're doing pretty well in terms of bugs and keeping things as stable as possible. And I think that will only continue to improve going forward. Taskmaster said, "Hey, look at the calendar. It's July. Cal said we might see LeoAI in July. Do we see it?" Asking for my imaginary friend. Well, I see it. I don't know if you can see it. But I think the first implementations of LeoAI are probably going to be more, they're probably going to be less user facing. So I think what's likely to happen now is that the first feature of LeoAI is going to be the recommendation engine. Also, because I just think that that's the most important use case for our platform right now in terms of AI is getting that recommendation engine going. So the way that's going to look is, you know, basically in two major places to start. The first is that when you're on the For You feed, the feed will be feeding you recommendations based on LeoAI. So basically, LeoAI will be prompted to say, Scaredy Cat Guide is signed into the UI. He clicks the For You feed. Give him, you know, 1,500 of the latest threads, or you know, the threads in the last 48 hours that are based on his profiled interests. And the way it creates a profile of interests for him is that it looks at all the Hive blockchain data it has for Scaredy Cat Guide. So it'll look at all the content he upvotes. It'll look at, so that's blog posts and threads. It'll look at where he comments. It'll look at where he threads. So like if he tends to write blog posts that talk about Bitcoin as a keyword very frequently, and then he also tends to upvote other blog posts that contain the keyword Bitcoin very frequently, then the rank order of the keyword Bitcoin is going to be very high for Scaredy Cat Guide. So when he goes to the For You feed, Bitcoin, you know, any threads containing the keyword Bitcoin are automatically going to be ranked higher than pretty much everything else. And then now imagine that, but with, you know, 1,000 different keywords, all for Scaredy Cat Guide's profile. And then everything will just be rank ordered from there. And as his interests change in real time, so like maybe suddenly he stops talking about Bitcoin so much, he starts talking about Hive. He starts talking about the Hive token. He starts talking about the Hive blockchain. He starts commenting on posts that talk about Hive. He starts commenting on threads that talk about Hive. Now, suddenly, if he goes to his For You feed, the Hive keyword is going to be ranking higher than Bitcoin. You know, and it will just kind of mix everything in. So it'll be like, you know, and it randomizes it as well. So it'll be like, you know, the first thread may say something about Hive. The second thread may say something about the price of Bitcoin, you know, et cetera. So you can see how LeoAI's implementation on the For You feed is pretty important. just for overall user experience and content curation and content discovery as well. And then the second piece to it is that I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is actually a new feature since Elon took over X. But when you're on a tweet, below the comment section of a tweet, there's actually like a recommendations section, and that's all AI recommendations. So it's actually really good. I don't know if you've seen it on X, but it's actually tends to feed you pretty relevant content based on the tweet you're looking at. So this particular recommendation, so the first one is a profile that it essentially creates around you based on your interests. The second recommendation engine is based on the actual thread that you're currently on. So like if you click on a thread that talks about, let's say that it talks about like the Trump-Biden debate, right? And if you click on that thread and then look at the recommendations below it, it'll basically serve you like 3 to 5 more threads that all are about the Trump versus Biden debate, regardless of who posted them, et cetera. It knows what you're looking at, and then it shows you things that it deems are similar, and then it recommends them to you. So that's going to be on individual thread pages. So yeah, I think these 2 implementations are probably going to be live by the end of the month. And they'll be like the first implementations of LeoAI. And then, the other features will kind of follow from there, including the, kind of ChatGPT style prompting page. Turner Will said, my first time on here, loving voices being heard. I think I'm going to learn quite a lot about Inleo today. Yeah, hopefully you learn a few things. Definitely had a couple key themes in this show. So Taskmaster said when shorts, and all I have to say is soon. We actually are testing the long form. We're still trying to figure out some issues that we're having with the long form video uploading. So once those are sorted, you'll have long form video uploading in the publish page to 3Speak. And then afterwards, we'll roll shorts out pretty quickly after.
Hey, Cal, I have a question because I'm laughing at a GIF Caleb Marvel shared from Bugs Bunny leaving Facebook jail. So how heavy are GIFs for the UI? Like, is it the same as any kind of thread? Or what's like, how heavy are they?
By heavy, do you mean like site load?
Yeah, exactly. So for example, if I'm scrolling down a threadcast and I like if the threadcast has a lot of GIFs, am I gonna see like these jumps in the loading feed?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, a GIF is really just a link. It's a link to an image that is hosted somewhere else, but it's a moving image. So that's really what a GIF is. I would say that it's obviously a little bit heavier than your average image, and it mostly has to do with your connection speed. So if you have decent internet, you shouldn't really see any issues. Maybe that's something for Taskmaster and others to test, to make a threadcast of GIFs and see how many GIFs you can put in a threadcast before people's connection to Inleo starts breaking on that specific page. Because what would happen is essentially that page would just load a little bit slower as it gets stockpiled with GIFs. But that in mind, we have a lot of infinite loading modules within Inleo. So like, as you like, if you've ever noticed that sometimes the page is like blank for like half a second while if you're scrolling like really fast, it's because we've got infinite loading so that not everything is being loaded all at once. It's being loaded as you scroll down to look for more content. So that has a pretty profound impact on speed. I gotta plug in. Give me a second.
Need power. Gotta plug it in.
a madman. I notice a jump when images are loading. So yeah, depends on your internet connection. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's
That
a good
definitely
idea.
that definitely makes a difference. What you know what I've noticed, and again, I don't know, maybe I assume the UI. Wow, it's finally updated actually. I'm finally seeing Cal now listed with the purple lightning bolt in the top, but this is the most threadcasts I've seen, like active threadcasts I've seen, like on my UI while we're doing this threadcast, like to date.
Yeah, I know that Taskmaster and
Which
some others have been pretty active in terms of trying to stress test the threadcasts and just launching a lot of them. So there's some good ones
yeah,
out there.
it's pretty cool though. I mean, that's just a indication of an uptick in activity and growth. It's just something so simple where it's like I'm used to seeing like, I don't know, three or four, and right now there's two, four, six, eight, nine. It looks like there's like nine that are still considered active. One day there'll be 90.
99, over 9,000, ideally.
Well, yes, but first stop 90, 10x. I like that, in light of, like I said, I vote things that either engage me for one reason or another. So earlier, Morty was excited that you updated your background to the correct background that he had created for you, because he obviously created these awesome backgrounds for Earth, and he generally enjoys when we use them. So he was excited that Cal got his background to what it was supposed to be. So I got a kick out of that and gave it an upvote.
There you go. Upvotes being sent.
Yeah, Morty is asking, this is a good question. Will shorts be vertical only or horizontal without being squeezed into a vertical container?
I believe they're gonna be vertical only. Um, I believe we're gonna have some sort of because right now you essentially can do it either way. But I actually want to make it so that if you try to upload one that isn't vertical, it just doesn't let you. So because one concern I've had is especially with newer platforms, and you can see this on other social media platforms that have tried to tackle video, is that you can see a lot of low quality videos and just poor uploading and people not following the format very well. And one thing I've told the devs about pretty much everything that we do is to make things like, essentially make make the bowling alley, with bumper rails required, so that like you can't even go into the gutter. If you've ever bowled, you know what I'm talking about. You can't even go into the gutter if you want to. So I want to do that with a lot of the various features on Inleo, including videos, which is that when you try to do something, if it's not the correct way of doing it, the UI tells you why what you're doing isn't the correct way, so that you can remedy it and then go about your uploading or whatever feature you're trying to use. Um, there was another one. So like one example is some UIs have three-speak video uploading. I think we were looking at like eSense's UI. They've got three-speak video uploading. But if you upload a video that isn't over 15 seconds, and it actually tells you on their UI and on other UIs, if your video is under 15 seconds, it actually doesn't get posted on three-speak. So it has to be over 15 seconds. But if you upload one that's like, say, 5 seconds from the eSense UI, and not to pick on eSense, I think this is just how all UIs are doing it right now. If you upload one that's like 5 seconds, it just, it gets published, but then it doesn't actually get published. So it's like, it's not preventing you from doing the wrong thing. It's just telling you that you shouldn't do it and then allowing you to do it anyways. Whereas the devs were asking me, should we basically not allow a video to be uploaded unless it's over 15 seconds? And I said, yeah, why wouldn't you? You know, you want to build the bowling alley with bumper rails. You want to be like, if you upload a video that's 5 seconds, the upload shouldn't even go through. It should just say, hey, this video is 10 seconds shorter than it needs to be in order to be uploaded. So yeah, I mean, I think across the board for features that's a better approach to doing things is just, you know, rather than try to teach people how to do things the right way, just like almost enforce certain things that they have to happen that way, especially when they're kind of critical to overall user experience.
I have no idea about resource management in tech, but probably also if the video is like only 15 seconds long, then it doesn't get stored in our servers for more than a month or something like that. I don't know, because for example, Twitch was just they had some issues with bandwidth and power in Japan, and they just left Japan. Like, so maybe trying to avoid that kind of thing of everyone just uploading videos all the time. And you know, after a few months, it's going to be very heavy on the UI to just have all of these videos. Even if we have the IPFS storing part of 3Speak, showing them is going to be heavy, right? Or am I just talking nonsense?
In terms of what?
Of weight for the UI.
No, because well, there's two ways that shorts are going to work. Essentially, one of them is going to be that it auto plays when you scroll over it. So like that works like on X when there's a video that's uploaded. If you scroll over that post on X, then it starts auto playing that video, right? It auto plays it and it's muted if you're familiar with that user experience. But you know, say that there's another short that's posted and it's like 5 threads down. Actually, nothing is showing except for the thumbnail until you get to that thread, and then it starts auto playing. You know what I mean? So like as you're scrolling the feed, it doesn't just suddenly load all the videos all at once. It's actually loading them individually as you get to that part of the feed. And that's how they'll show in like the main latest feed and For You feed. And then we're actually adding another feed, which I'm really excited about, which is modeled and styled after TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, where it plays the video is full screen, right? And then like the actions, like the upvote button and stuff will be overlaid on top of the screen. And then to like move through the feed and see the next video, it'll only have videos and it'll only have shorts in this specific feed. And you'll like swipe up to keep scrolling. So if you've ever used one of those, you know, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, if you've ever scrolled through those, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It'll look identical to those, where you just like keep scrolling and it'll just keep showing you shorts. One thing I'm working on in terms of, and you know, I don't have a timeline for this, but one thing we're working on is integrating LeoAI into creating transcripts for shorts. So it will create a transcript for each short. And then it will basically be able to create a vector space of all those transcripts so that as you're scrolling, it'll be there's essentially going to be a For You feed for shorts on Inleo, which I think is really exciting. So any short that's uploaded on the platform will basically have its own transcript created. So like, let's say that Mitch uploads a short and it's like a 30-second video of him talking about, you know, Bitcoin and the current price of Bitcoin and how the crypto market's doing. It'll take the transcript of every word he said in that video and it will attach it to that short. And so when, let's say that Eric is in his For You feed on Leo Shorts and he's scrolling the For You feed, and let's say that Eric tends to interact with content that mentions Bitcoin and the crypto market, Mitch's post is probably going to be at or near the top of his For You feed for shorts. So you'll get that video almost immediately, and then you'll keep swiping, and it'll obviously keep recommending different shorts to you. So yeah, it's, it's that's going to be a pretty innovative feature, but it definitely requires a lot of work because, we obviously have to build the transcript engine, then we have to build the vector space, and then we have to train LeoAI on the previous data, and then obviously have the real-time training, and then also build the UI around that. So that's going to be a fun feature to launch, but I assume the rollout is going to look like, we're going to release the UI and basically just randomize the videos, or maybe sort them by like upvotes, something kind of simple in terms of the original sorting. And then we'll add in the recommendations and the For You feed afterwards, after we kind of build out the AI part of it. But yeah, that was like a really long-winded way of talking about how the loading speed is going to work for shorts. But yeah, so I answered it for the main feed, and then obviously for like the For You feed, it's only loading one video at a time, because you scroll, it loads the video, you watch it, and then you scroll again, and then it loads the next one, you watch it, scroll again, it loads the next one. So at any given time, you're never going to be loading more than like 1 to 3 videos at a time. So I don't think it's going to have a very significant impact on overall loading speed.
Nice. Yeah, makes sense now that you explain it. Andersinho, since so many people have been asking in the latest feed, there should be a timer or something indicating how long a threadcast will be on top of a page. On top of the page. Well, I think it's self-explanatory, right? If the threadcast is more to the right, it means that it's that the time it's been up there, it is longer than the other ones, right? Because the order, it's not by trending, but by time live, right?
Yes, yeah, it's based on when the threadcast was posted, and then it deteriorates. So after a few hours, it'll get removed. Fred said, are all these updates on Shorts and AI beneficial and available to all Inleo users, or just for special ones? So Shorts and video uploading in general is available to anyone. Obviously, if you're premium, so like the way the For You feed works is that it gives a little bit more priority. It essentially gives boost, to use the X terminology, to people who are premium. So if you're a premium subscriber on Inleo, or actually, if you're any user, just go to the For You feed and start scrolling, and you'll notice that you tend to see a lot more content from people that have a check mark than people that don't. So it just gives a little bit of boost to the ranking of people who are premium. So that's kind of one of the features of being premium, is that you show up more in all the different feeds. And then I think for the recommendation engine, the current plan is that again, there's a huge boost applied to that recommendation on, and I'm talking about the one where you're on a specific thread page and then it shows you threads that are similar to the one you're looking at. It'll also give a boost to people who are premium. And then in terms of like AI features, the recommendation engine and the For You feeds, etc., those are all accessible to anybody. You don't have to be premium for that. But to use, for example, the ChatGPT style AI interface that we're building, you'll have to be premium. So that'll be a premium only feature. And Taskmaster gave us a good idea about doing a kind of trial for AI. So maybe for the first like 30 or 60 days of LeoAI going live, we'll essentially do a free trial where anybody, regardless of premium or not, will be able to use it. And we'll kind of use that as our kind of marketing tool to showcase what LeoAI is capable of. Because I think it's really going to blow people away in terms of what you can actually use it for. So we'll allow anyone to use it in the beginning, and then from there we'll obviously change it to premium only. And I think that, you know, that alone, you know, that one feature is well enough of a reason to be premium, just all on its own. I mean, just imagine being able to prompt, you know, your own version of ChatGPT essentially that's trained on all the information you've ever done on the Hive blockchain, you know, and ask it questions about your previous blog posts, ask it to help you source your next idea for your next blog post, but help you based on, you know, prior knowledge of what you've posted in the past. All sorts of things like that. I mean, that alone, that one prompt engine feature is valuable enough to go premium and pay the 10 HBD a month. And then the second piece, you know, the Copilot, you know, that's also going to be premium exclusive. So like while you're writing a thread or a blog post or a comment, you know, essentially you'll have a Copilot in the bottom right, and it can basically help you write things or correct your grammar while you're writing, or help you again, like you could start typing a comment and you could say like, I'm running out of ideas of what to say next. And then it could prompt you on some ideas of what you could say next. So a lot of different features that are coming in, and generally they're going to be available only to premium subscribers. And there's two reasons for that. Two main reasons, at least. One is that you know, obviously it creates a very deeply entrenched value model for being premium. So it adds a lot of value, you know, to the proposition of going premium. And the second piece to it is that every prompt actually has a cost. So when you use AI, you know, whether it's our AI or ChatGPT or you know, Google's Bard AI or whatever, it's you know, it all every prompt has like a credit cost to it. So every time you use LeoAI, there's going to be a small cost, and someone has to pay that cost. So, you know, we could either pass that cost directly on to users and charge them per credit, or you could just wrap it up in premium, and then, you know, that gives a whole new definition of wrapping it up. And you give and you give people
That just happens.
yeah, right. And you give people, you know, it's kind of like a gym membership where like you could charge $29 a month, and you know, some people are going to use the gym every day, and some people are going to use the gym once a month. But on average, you know, you get enough usage that it covers all your costs, right? Or like having a lunch buffet at a restaurant where, you know, it's $12.99 and it's all you can eat. And like, yeah, some, you know, massive, you know, bodybuilder could walk in and eat $60 worth of food. And technically you lost money on that guy, that customer. But then, you know, five other people come in and they don't eat very much. You know, maybe they eat like $1 worth of food and then leave. And on average, you're fine. So that is you know, the cost model of AI is, you know, a second kind of key piece to putting it behind premium.
Makes sense. What do you have a queue of questions at all left over? And if so, do you want to touch on them? We've been going well over an hour. Let's creep it up on 2 Eastern. I'm gonna have to dip in a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty well caught up. I don't know if you guys have pulled out any. Morty said, I'd like to have a Threadcast tab on the profile page so that you can find a particular user's Threadcast easily. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a cool idea, especially because then you could see like historical Threadcasts, which might be a cool way to see like, you know, last AMA, we had like 400 comments, and you could look through all those comments, and then you could see like going back in history to all the previous AMAs. So yeah, I think we could probably do something like that.
I can see how that would be useful too for like people that Threadcast a lot. So like for instance, like you or you know, task. It's just like you go to your profile and then you have that additional, you know, link where you can hit Threadcast, and now you're just looking at all your Threadcasts that you've ever done, as opposed to, you know, having to scroll through your
I,
threads and or, you know, blog posts.
well, okay, so in the threads profile, you have the search box, then you have latest, oldest, trending, and parents. So maybe inside those, maybe instead of trending, because I mean, well, I don't know, maybe trending is not that important to have if you're already looking at a person's threads feed, well, threads blog page. So maybe adding the threadcast filter there would be better, or maybe, I don't know, latest, oldest. So you can sort them by the first ones, the last ones, the parents. Yeah, probably instead of trending, or maybe just as a, you could just search among threadcast, and you could actually see all of the threadcasts of that person. I don't know, maybe you don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be a cleaner way, but
Yeah. Master, let me check on task masters to see how it looks. Threadcast. Yeah, I don't know. What's the awards part gonna be in the profile?
It's going to be like achievements. We'll probably rename that, but yeah, it'll be probably that's related to like the gamification features, NFTs and achievements, and generally those features will kind of be laid into that.
cool deal.
I'm just doing a search right now under Taskmaster's username with the keyword threadcast.
I just did.
And what happened?
It didn't work because I used the hashtag. So apparently the search doesn't work with hashtags. Then without the hashtag, it actually works pretty good because you can see the threadcast, the hashtag threadcast threads that he replies to, and also the ones that he uses the keyword.
Yeah.
But the problem is that if he uses the keyword without the hashtag, you also get it, and then you also have these duplicated threadcasts. So, for example, you have the Inleo AMA from today, and every reply from Taskmaster to the threadcast shows under this filter. So probably you just want to have the parents, or you just want to have the hashtag threadcast, not just the keyword threadcast.
Yeah. I mean, I think generally improving the search feature would solve that as well. Allowing you to search for hashtags, and then also, better sorting features, etc. Which I do, the current search module, I actually think is pretty solid. But there are a lot of improvements I want to make, including adding a page specifically for search. Because right now it's obviously the pop-up window, and actually the keyword search for threads actually works pretty well. But I do think that having like a full page view would be very helpful with like different filters and sorting mechanisms. But yeah, I think we're caught up. Tasker said Threadcast can be thought of as subreddits. This is what Steemit was set up for. We can have a Threadcast for a topic, and people can post images, links, videos, or whatever else they want. Yeah, I mean, I actually look at Threadcast as being kind of different than a subreddit, almost like I look at them almost being like a specific, like, I don't even actually know what they're called on a subreddit, but when someone posts like a topic on a subreddit, and then a bunch of there's like thousands of comments, and then people have like subtopics of that topic, and then if you go through the comments, like you can literally dig up anything out of that subreddit. I mean, I still look at subreddits as being more like communities. So like I feel like our community pages are more like subreddits, but then I feel like the threadcasts are almost like in between a subreddit and what I just described as like a topic page on Reddit. because, you know, there is a little bit of a short-term nature to a threadcast. It's meant to be more of like a live chat. But that being said, I mean, you know, my goal has always been to just build the tools and give them to you guys, and then you guys figure out the best way to use them. So at the end of the day, you can use a threadcast however you want. And they don't go away. It's not like it's, you know, they do go away from the top menu from being promoted. But they don't ever like actually disappear. Like you can go back to a threadcast from 2 months ago and read through all the comments or even leave a new comment. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting kind of live experiment to see where threadcasts go. I mean, originally threadcasts were never really even in the original plans. It's kind of a new, you know, not new, but you know, it was just something that kind of came about. And then obviously we developed more stuff around it, like adding the promoted and other features, like, you know, having that button that turns it live or turns off the live features. You know, now you can you can sort by threads from specific authors inside of a threadcast. You can sort by latest, oldest votes and replies. And we're going to work on some more sorting features and other features in general. So yeah, I mean, again, goal is just build out the tools and the toolkit and just let you guys kind of run with it. There's a lot of features I have in mind to make threadcasts even more engaging, and also allow authors to, you know, the creators of a threadcast to monetize them better. I have a few different ideas for that. So coming soon.
Whens and soons.
Whens and soons.
Cool. Well, for all you US folk, have a delightful 4th of July.
Absolutely. Yep. For anyone
All
who's
right.
celebrating, light a firecracker or whatever.
There you go. Do it safely. Don't lose a finger.
Right,
Yep.
you have the 4th of July in a couple of days.
Well, until then, I'm going to wait for some crypto fireworks. When
Yeah.
moon, Bitcoin. Let's go.
When firework to the moon.
Cool deal. All
Sweet.
right, gents.
All right, thanks guys for the
Informative.
late last minute AMA.
No doubt.
See
All
you
right,
guys.
guys, be good.
All right, see ya.